Alright, so we got this new card, Insidious Roots, as part of Murders at Karlov Manor, and I've been looking for some ways to play it. There have been a few decks that I've tried. One was a Necropotence-based, you could call it a combo deck, I suppose, that tried to just get a bunch of Insidious Roots triggers onto the stack all at once. And I feel like that deck was pretty tough, given that if you were able to combo off to the point where you had enough life to get enough cards into your hand to discard for Insidious Roots, you might as well just win the game some other way. I'm trying a different strategy today here. We've slotted it into Cat Oven, a deck that I have not played since the Timeless format came out. If you haven't seen it before, I would be surprised, but it's an oldish combo from Eldraine back in those days, so I could understand if you hadn't seen it before. This is Witch's Oven. It used to be very, very popular in Historic, but once we hit Timeless, I honestly have not seen very much of it as of late. For 1 mana, you get an artifact that allows you to, every turn, tap and sack a creature to make a food token. This was a problem in Historic back when it was in Standard, because games ended up dragging out very long, because you can always activate Witch's Oven for the most part, and the way that you do it is at instant speed, using the sacrifice as a payment rather than an effect, so that you can basically always remove, or you can always get around removal, and it just basically drives games into a little bit of a stalemate. But that's really what we want to do in a deck where the payoff is going to be Insidious Roots. Now, it's not worth talking about Witch's Oven without talking about Cauldron Familiar, another Eldraine card that on ETB drains your opponent for 1 and allows you to sack a food to return it from the graveyard to the battlefield. So there's a very nice little combo here between Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven, where basically you can sack the Cauldron Familiar and then bring it back, and you can do that once every turn. And then when you have a payout like Mayhem Devil, you can usually ping your opponent down as much as you want. Now we have another payout in terms of Insidious Roots, which only costs green-black, which potentially could be used to replace Mayhem Devil, but instead I've decided to go for about 8-ish copies of this type of effect to make things work. Cauldron Familiar did get nerfed in Historic, in the Arena version of the card, because it can now no longer block, which actually kind of makes it it removes a lot of the utility from this card, because this card is best used on your opponent's turn when they want to attack, and you block their big creature with this dumb little 1/1, sack it, make a token, and then bring it back, and instead of them getting in for damage, now you've drained them for 1. So it's a big swing, and we really want to make that happen. So let's take a look at the rest of the deck. We have our engine, we have our payoffs, but there are some other payoffs as well. We're running Trail of Crumbs here. On ETB, you get a food token, so you can get a Cauldron Familiar out of the graveyard. But the relevant thing is, when you're doing your Cauldron Familiar Witch's Oven loop, you can trigger this Trail of Crumbs and pay 1 mana every time you sack a food, and then you get to look 2 deep and put 1 permanent card into your hand. So that's pretty popular, or it's a very powerful effect, rather, not necessarily popular. And it's really strong in terms of card advantage. I've played some food decks before in the past, and Trail of Crumbs, when going, is actually a really, really good card. And you just need to support it with a food archetype. In this deck, it's obviously the Cauldron Familiar Witch's Oven, but we're also running Gilded Goose, which can both make food tokens and sacrifice them for mana. So we have pretty much 8 interactions, if you count Witch's Oven and Cauldron Familiar together, that can trigger our Trail of Crumbs. So we should be able to get through the deck not too bad. Another new card that we're playing, new-ish, from Brothers War, is Sarinth Steelseeker. Basically, when you put an artifact onto the battlefield under your control, this does not have to be non-token, so our foods will trigger this. You get to look at the top card of your library, and lands go to the hand, and you can put the other into graveyard. So it's basically Surveil. So that is going to be another thing. It's basically our 8th effective Trail of Crumbs. So we're pretty overlaid here. We have 8 ways to do things with foods. We have 8 ways to get profit off of those foods, and then off of the sacrifice, we have 7 ways, almost 8, in order to do things with the payoffs. And then to kind of glue things together, we're running Low Strider, which is just a great card. This is card advantage in terms of the scries that you get from the goat and doing things with your Cauldron Familiar. If you're generating enough of foods and you can afford to, not use the Witch's Oven to sack the Cauldron Familiar, you can do it through Low Strider and get a scry as well. Notably, you'd also, this would kind of be replacing the Sarinth Steelseeker, my bad. Of course, being in Timeless, we get access to Demonic Tutor. I'm not running Dark Ritual in this deck, obviously, because everything has no more than 1 generic pip, or I guess 2 in terms of Woe Strider. And then finally, the last card is, fittingly, Finale of Devastation. And this is going to help us get our Cauldron Familiars, or our Mayhem Devils, or our Sarinth Steelseekers if we need them. And then if we have enough mana, this is also just a way to kill the opponent. Okay, I think that's it. That is what I'm calling the Insidious Cat Oven deck. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. In the mana base, I guess it is a little bit notable that we are running 2 Underground Mortuaries in order to surveil. Just because sometimes that is going to be important for us. Alright, so with that being said, that is all for me. I'll go ahead and see you guys in the games. Make sure to like and comment the video and subscribe for videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll see you there. Alright, it's round 1. Let's go. We have a pretty sweet opener, actually. This is Gilded Goose into Trail of Crumbs. I'm down. We'll take a damage off with this Land of War Wastes, but we make enough food so that we should be okay. We will make that food. And so by the time we get our turn 3 going, we should have 2 Trail of Crumbs plus a Witch's Oven to make use of this Gilded Goose. Then we'll probably end up sacking one of these foods for life, I'd say. This is Brainstorm, okay. Unfortunately, we're not playing Bowmasters here. That could fit in this deck, but it's really not what we want to be doing. If only the little tokens were artifacts, then I could definitely see it making a splash in this deck. We got a Wooded Foothills here, and we'll have to decide if we want to use it right now. I think that I don't, and I can go Trail of Crumbs into Witch's Oven here, get a trigger on Trail of Crumbs, but then I won't be able to pay for anything, so I'm not going to do that. We'll go ahead and pass. We have our turn 3 here. We can find a shock land potentially. I'm feeling like we'll be okay on life as this deck, or as this game is going to go pretty long. And what I need to be very careful for here is making sure that I can get my effects in here. I think what we'll do here is use Gilded Goose. Well, I guess they'll Thoughtseize us first, take our Trail of Crumbs or Witch's Oven, and then we'll go for the Gilded Goose make a mana, use that mana to pay for Trail of Crumbs, which is a pretty common tight loop that you can do with that card, so that's great. Hopefully they take Trail of Crumbs, but if they don't, we'll be able to just draw back pretty heavily here. Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and sack a food here, making a green. Trail of Crumbs will trigger. We will pay the mana for this. And let's look at the top 2. We can take Insidious Roots here. That could be nice. We will get the Witch's Oven as well. So let's go ahead and shock in a fetch land here. We will play the Witch's Oven around a Spell Pierce. And then, other than that, we'll just go in with Insidious Roots after. Alright, we get it. Witch's Oven doesn't need to activate yet. We'll Gilded Goose and do the Trail of Crumbs thing again. No attacks. Seems good. And so basically, once we get a cat here, we can start pumping out Insidious Roots tokens, which should be good. This is going to be Show and Tell, though, so we might be in a bit of a situation here. I actually probably should have done the Gilded Goose thing first. We will instead get Woe Strider in for free. And they go for Omniscience. Sure. Notably that because of Insidious Roots, this does get me 1 mana out of this goat once it becomes untapped. Or once it becomes unsummoning sick. So they're going for Atraxa here. I mean, I think they probably just combo kill me here. We're going to just click through here. Assassin's Trophy is tough. Demonic Tutor means they can find the best card in their combo package. The Modern Age, kind of a weird card to be playing in that deck. Dig Through Time will be good. That's just Ancestral Recall for them. I feel like we're probably done for here. Assassin's Trophy takes out something. I don't care about Utopia Straw, and it's just this Demonic Tutor. Can they combo through 1 card? I think that if they're playing, the best version of Show and Tell, that's easily possible. So I think what I'll do is just go ahead and activate my... Yeah, okay, so they're just going to the sideboard here. We'll click through it. It won't be too many more iterations here. They could go for Approach of the Second Sun, which is a thing. They will, in fact, go for the Shared Summons. Nice. I think this is the cooler, newer version of this combo. Where, yep, we get another Fae of Wishes, and then we can get something that can use Shared Summons again from the graveyard. Cool. They have wishes, finds. Okay, this is just an approach of the second sun. Okay, sure. You got it. And then how do you find your second approach? Do you go through an Atraxa? Okay, so this is actually not a deterministic combo, but it's a combo that doesn't really require too much more than, I believe, just shared summons to be added from the deck, because you're going to be playing these Atraxas anyway. They just need to find that last Fae of Wishes or something that can get it back from the graveyard, or actually they just get approached via the Atraxa trigger. Perfect. Awesome. So they've got me here. We were pretty close to getting our Insidious Roots engine going there. Got to show off Trail of Crumbs. That thing was doing its thing, and then really all that was missing was the Cauldron Familiar. All in all, I think it was a good starter round. Opponent definitely just was able to combo off. This is a quick format, so that's going to happen. Let's hop into round 2, go for another one. Here we go. Alright, let's go round 2. So this hand has all the Cauldron Familiars, none of the Witch's Cauldron. I think I kind of want to pass on this one. We can get something better. Sarinth Steelseeker would be a good turn 3 play, so maybe I go Cauldron Familiar into Steelseeker into Gilded Goose / Woe Strider. We'll put away maybe the Woe Strider here. I mean, it is a good card. Maybe we get rid of the Sarinth Steelseeker because that's a little cute. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We'll pay 2 life here. This allows us to do Gilded Goose turn 1, Cauldron Familiar turn 2 with Underground Mortuary, then Wooded Foothills after. I could go for Woe Strider early too if I'd like to. Okay, Unholy Heat changes that math, and we'll just go with the Cauldron Familiar now. Surveil 1. I don't think we need a Mayhem Devil yet. We already have one. Play the Cauldron Familiar. Say go. Alright, even if they kill that, we do get to bring it back with a food, and then it can attack in. Soul Scar Mage is fine. Ragavan, we definitely want to block that Ragavan if possible. This Mayhem Devil now will actually be really good. With Finale of Devastation, we can find another Cauldron Familiar, though that's not really important to me right now. Let's make sure that we have red mana so that we can play this Mayhem Devil. We'll shock this Blood Crypt in, and I guess I'll do Mayhem Devil now. This means that if I lose Cauldron Familiar for whatever reason, I can just ping Ragavan right away. But I think if they have removal, they're probably shocking Mayhem Devil first, or bolting it rather. Maybe I should have gone Woe Strider first, hard to say. Our non-basic lands are now mountains, which makes this a lot more problematic. Here goes Zeator's Proving Ground. I can play that for mountain or get a new card. I think I'll play it just as a mountain here, and we are a little bit stuck without our basics. Definitely a tough time to be non-red with these basic fetches. If this was best of 3, I could change my gameplay accordingly, but in best of 1, Blood Moon is a really, really good card. So opponent's going to be able to continue their game plan. We're going to have to do what we can do here. I will eat what blocks I can eat, and then I will just sit here, I guess, waiting for the Ragavan to attack. Here's Witch's Oven. So Witch's Oven now does give us something to do here. We can Gatling Gun down all their permanents. And where we were just in a situation that was a little bit sketchy for us, now we are actually doing a lot better for ourselves. We'll respond to any, bolting that they try to do here against the Mayhem Devil and kill the Ragavan and such like that. I think before combat we want to kill this Goblin Shaman possibly. They discard 1, meaning that their hand is pretty solid. Just the Fable of the Mirror Breaker, that actually is not bad at all. We'll let them attack actually. Okay, cool. So I can block the 2/3. I think that they may just end up growing it. So I'll just block with Cauldron Familiar on it and then kill the Goblin Shaman. So I'll wait till after blockers. That can happen. They decide to not go for any additional spells here. I'm going to go activate Witch's Oven now. Sack that. Ping this guy. And then let's go ahead and sack the food. Trigger, kill the Goblin Shaman. Perfect. Okay. So the drain has begun. We can avoid taking damage quite effectively here until they decide to draw something that deals damage to my Mayhem Devil. Hopefully we can find a land before then. Now leave Devastation. Does not mean anything to me. We pass. So yeah, they're definitely just digging for that removal spell. Makes sense. So there's Stomp on Cauldron Familiar. I mean, we're gonna go ahead and activate killing something. The Reflection can't attack yet, so we'll go ahead and go like this. Let's bring the Familiar back and kill that before it's able to attack, and then we may just straight up chump block the Ragavan, we'll see. Drawing another Witch's Oven also helps me out, but for now, things definitely are tough with the advent of Blood Moon. This is a deck that could play Beseiju, but is not. Maybe this is a change that we'd like to make. Though I really don't play Blood Moon that much. I mean, who knows. Alright, so there is the Mayhem Devil activation. We cannot do much other than kill this Ragavan. And so now, things get a little bit more problematic. So our Cauldron Familiar just becomes a very effective chump blocker. And while that means that we are not necessarily in a lot of trouble, we are about to be in a world of hurt. We still have outs, though. Alright, so they have effectively dealt with the Cauldron Familiar until I draw something else that can make me a treasure. And basically that's going to have to come off the back of a basic, which we have not seemed to be able to draw yet. There is another mountain. We say go. And here begins the quick descent of our red dribble. The Reflection can copy Soulscar Mage, which grows bigger with whatever they decide to make. They can also go Bone Crusher Giant, Reflection the Bone Crusher Giant, which I think is the most damage that they can push right now. Or they can just set up for this Obosh turn, which I guess that seems to be what they're going to do. No, it's actually the Bone Crusher Giant. They missed a little bit of damage there, because Reflection only costs 1, right? Yeah. Well, Bloodstained Mire, unfortunately, is just an island, or is just a mountain. So I think that we are not looking long for this Earth. There's the Bone Crusher activation. That's 8, 10, 11. I believe that is just almost lethal. The Soulscar Mage Prowess trigger will send us over the edge. Alright, so that is round... what was that, 2? That was round 2 all done. Kind of just got blown out by the Blood Moon. I think that maybe I will go in, now that I think about it more, and add 1 or 2 Beseijus into the deck. But with that being said, I'll join you guys with those changes here in round 3, coming right up. Alright, here we go, it's round 3. Opening hand has Goose, Oven, Mayhem Devil. Yeah, so we have Oven Cat plus Mayhem Devil. I mean, this is a insta-keep, probably no matter what. I can accelerate out a Mayhem Devil on turn 2, actually. And then my Witch's Oven Cauldron Familiar can come out right after. That could be good. Maybe I go Gilded Goose into Trail of Crumbs into Witch's Oven Mayhem Devil. Yeah, I like that. That feels the best. Well, actually, it won't be a curve like that. Not quite. So if I go Trail of Crumbs, I can then get out Cauldron Familiar, Witch's Oven, then go do something after that. Or I could go Trail of Crumbs plus Gilded Goose. I think I'll just play it a little slower. Doesn't look like we'll get Blood Moon here, so I'm going to take a red producing mana source. I want to do this Trail of Crumbs thing. We'll be able to look with Gilded Goose. Alright, there's another food token, and we'll pass. So next turn we actually do have the 4 mana, so we can go Mayhem Devil into Oven, probably. This is fine, just an Orcish Bowmasters. We're not drawing much cards. So go. This Mayhem Devil will take care of the Bowmasters real quick. And luckily Trail of Crumbs is not a it's not a draw card. They'll take my Trail of Crumbs here, so we'll go ahead and make a mana. Go ahead and pay for our Trail of Crumbs. And we'll take a Bloodstained Mire, sure. Glad that Skyclave Apparition came out now rather than later. I think we'll go Mayhem Devil plus Witch's Oven. Ping the Bowmasters. We'll say go. Brutal Cathar is going to take my Mayhem Devil. We will be able to kill the Brutal Cathar with another Mayhem Devil later. Totally fine. Gilded Goose will stick around. So now we want to just go for our Cauldron Familiar right before they can do anything with Brutal Cathar. There's a Gilded Goose. We'll go ahead and sack the cat. Oh wait, this doesn't work because we don't have a Mayhem Devil on the battlefield. Luckily we can get one next turn and then kill Brutal Cathar. Then we'll be really set up. For now, since we're not going to play anything, let's just get a Surveil land. Give us some card advantage. Another land is not necessary. So we'll clear that draw and say go. On their end step, we get to drain a little bit with Cauldron Familiar. We are at 9, so things are a little bit dangerous for us. We will declare blocks with Cauldron Familiar, and we will declare a block with Gilded Goose. And then we will Witch's Oven, sack Cauldron Familiar. Resolve. And we'll pass. Moving to my turn, I can bring this cat back and attack with it, or I can move it back to block, which I'll probably just leave it back to block. Oh, Containment Priest. Well, I can respond to that with this ability. Good to know that Containment Priest is in this deck because we will not want to lose our Cauldron Familiar to that. Resolve, resolve. So Containment Priest will be a problem, definitely. Move to my turn here. We will go land Finale of Devastation for 3. We will need to search our library for our second out of 3 Mayhem Devils. LOL, Containment Priest ruins me. Alright, we pass. Oh no. That feels like a shame concede for me, to be honest. Oh god, that was bad. I'm leaving that in the video because that's just some comedy right there. I go to play against the Containment Priest and then get absolutely boomed by it. I think I actually know what this card is. This is the 2-mana Loxodon. On ETB Exiles something. I will save myself a little bit of face here and block. We'll go ahead and do the Witch's Oven thing, not bringing it back to the battlefield. Saves me a bit of damage there. Alright, now we need to move to our turn. Another land here. We really do need to be saving our life. We have our last basic in the deck, I believe? No, it's not here. I only have 4. Is that right? Thought I was running 4 basics. Guess I'm not. We will take... For 2 mana, make a food. Okay, I probably want this to be untapped. But I don't want to go down that much life. Okay, we'll just put this in tapped. So I can Gilded Goose, or I can use Witch's Oven in order to get enough life to stay alive here. So that's make a token with 1 goose. Oh, actually that's not even enough. That'd be sack a goose, chump block with both of them. Yeah, I mean, this is just not good regardless. Okay, so we go ahead and block, 2 blockers. We sack one of these. Well, actually, I'll still be alive. Resolve. And then we will just bank that life, I think. Based on card comes up. This is Unyielding Gatekeeper. That is what I thought it was. And we will get a 2/2, so that it does at least block maybe Skyclave Apparition. Oh, Archon of Amira. We are absolutely getting Death and Taxed right now. This is pretty awesome to see. I'm a big fan of Death and Taxes. We're going to have this come in tapped, and we'll be able to go up to 9 life here, but that is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We are going to be dead no matter what. Opponent's got us. Pretty good gameplay out of the opponent here. Pretty cool Death and Taxes deck. Don't get to see this very often. Maybe we will end up in a time here in Timeless where this is a viable strategy. I'd really love to see that and play it for the channel. But for now, that is round 3 done. Let's go into round 4. We have 2 more attempts with this deck. Let's get it. Alright, here we go. This is round 4. Games have been overall pretty interesting so far. This hand is nice. We get Insidious Roots. We do have a high likelihood of getting a Mayhem Devil, but it's really not going to be until we get our Witch's Oven that this hand really starts to pop off. I'll give it a try, though. I think I'm going to play slow on the Cauldron Familiars, unless they show me that I need to block or do something with them. That means we can get our Triumph now. Over here on the left, there is Ziator's Proving Ground. Oh, hey, there's the Witch's Oven right on time. So let's shock here, go for Insidious Roots. And we should be able to start getting this thing going here. I want them to play something here. This smells like blue-white control. Let's play... some untapped land. Probably Overgrown Tomb. We'll go Cauldron Familiar. See if they want to counter that. They don't. I don't know if this Witch's Oven resolves. Oh, it does. Wow. Here's a Cauldron Familiar. Alright. So now we get to go ahead and pass. Alright. I was worried that that was going to be a counter-target non-creature spell, but luckily it wasn't. They're hovering over Witch's Oven. Hopefully means they're not going to Fragment Reality it. Oh, this might just be like a starter blue-white deck. That would be interesting. We get 1 card coming out of the graveyard for Insidious Roots, which is good. Let's start to make this plant army. We do actually just straight up get to kill their Inspiring Overseer here, which is kind of gnarly. Let's go ahead and attack all in first. See how they decide to block. At instant speed, I can grow my plant. Actually, just let it happen here. So before combat, let's go ahead and lose a Cauldron Familiar. The result will be the same, pretty much. We do get to kill the Overseer. Resolve, and then we will bring back the Cauldron Familiar. Trigger goes to face, and then we grow our little plant. Trigger, trigger. Oh yeah, this is what we want to be doing. Alright, this is a plant army getting going. We can come back with a Woe Strider after and have a board wipe presence. Divine Gambit. We will get to trade that in for a 3-drop, so I'm down. Insidious Roots again. We might as well play all these cards. This might get counterspelled. Okay, there's just straight up counterspell. You got it. Looks like they're not really going to be long for this world, though. We are just kind of... We were able to do our thing for like one iteration, and that might just be exactly enough. That was honestly a little bit underwhelming of a game, not going to lie. We do get the rank up from it, but what I think I'll do is go ahead and queue one more quick one here, just so that we can make this this segment of the video a little bit longer. It's only been about just shy of 4 minutes so far, and while we were able to demonstrate the cat combo with Insidious Roots, I was really hoping that we'd be able to do it a little bit longer and go a little bit wider. But at the end of the day, it is a long-term game plan, so you can't really expect every game in 5 to really do exactly what you want in terms of being a long game. Anyway, here's round 4, the re-record. Let's get it. This opening hand will have another Witch's Oven Cauldron Familiar start. I mean, I'm in. We have Witch's Oven Cauldron Familiar and our Sarenth Steelseeker, a card that we haven't really gotten to showcase just yet. The choice here is, do we want to curve out or do we not want to curve out? And I think we do want to curve out, so we will go ahead and go for Gilded Goose first, going into Steelseeker plus Cauldron Familiar. Windswept Heath. Okay, so we can actually still curve out without taking damage from Bloodstained Mire. Let's go for Sarenth Steelkeeper here. See if I'm allowed to have that, and then after we'll go for Witch's Oven. I'm going to actually check for priority here, see if they want to crack their fetch after my main phase. They may decide to do it now. They're smart, they don't do it. And then we'll go ahead and probably cast Cauldron Familiar here. Like, if there's anything that gets Spell Pierce, I'd rather it be the Cauldron Familiar than the Witch's Oven. Now is when they probably Windswept Heath and decide if they're going to do anything blue-white related. Let's see what colors they pull out here. Okay, so they are blue-white. That was kind of a correct read by what kind of actions they've been taking. It would be really convenient for me if they just have a turn 2 play, which looks like they might. The immediate crack of the Windswept Heath. Maybe it'll just be some card draw spell. They also might not necessarily be exactly blue-white, so they are Bant at least. Selfless Spirit, probably creatures. Could be spirits, actually. There are Bant Spirits decks. Not something that I see often. Well, it's going to be unfortunate for them, but I have a Witch's Oven. Just need my Mayhem Devil to make that thing go off. Here's a Witch's Oven. With another mana source, we can take the Gilded Goose. Or we can activate the Gilded Goose, that is. Another Witch's Oven's perfect. So we don't want to Surveil now. Legendary land would be a bad idea, so we'll just go like this, and then I can create a Gilded Goose token whenever I want. Okay. Supreme Phantom, sure, things are going to get busy here. We do not want that thing to stick around, though. For now, it's going to have to. Alright, we're definitely not blocking with that. And I do want to save, actually, on this Gilded Goose activation, now that I think about it. We will activate the Witch's Oven, losing Cauldron Familiar here. That all can resolve. We already know it's on the top of our library, so we're not going to do anything about that. And let me put the Cauldron Familiar back. All of that to drain them for 1. We draw our card for turn, we know what it is. I'm going to Surveil first, before deciding if I want to do anything with the Bloodstained Mire. Another Cauldron Familiar is good, but we can bring that back at any time. Having more Cauldron Familiars doesn't scale me as much as having more Witch's Ovens does, so that can just go directly to the grave. We will pay this. And I think that my Bloodstained Mire will likely just want to surveil will want to find a surveil land. We don't want a Gilded Goose, we want a Mayhem Devil in particular. Go ahead and do this. Let's find that surveil land. Last one here. Don't want a Foothills. And we stay. Having trouble clicking on the UI right now, that's unfortunate. So we have a drain for 2 every round. Cauldron Familiar can't block. And the Spirit can just sit. Won't block. And here we go. Lands go to hand, we get to surveil away anything that's not a Mayhem Devil. However, Trail of Crumbs is actually a good one to have, so we will go ahead and Cauldron Familiar here. There goes that, and we have one more iteration after this, which is taking just a lot of time. We have to deal with a lot of flashing from the opponent, very clearly holding up what must be Collected Company, in fact. We will leave this on top. Resolve, done, cool. And actually, you know what I could do here? Is I can Besage you their Temple Garden and see if they play a basic forest. Alright, so while they do that, let's channel, kill their Temple Garden. Oh, that actually doesn't really matter because they can get another Temple Garden. Yeah. It is what it is. Okay, yeah, and they can also float mana. That was kind of not a great play. We'll see if we can overcome it, though. Trail of Crumbs will start to give me a lot of card advantage, and then hopefully we'll be able to turn the corner before they get too wide. This game kind of hinges on me. Okay, so they do have the forest, so that's a question answered right there. Probably Collected Company coming down on my end step. Not Shocked Hollowed Fountain, so if they want to Collected Company, they have to do it now. There it is. Two Supreme Phantom type effects with... Oh, actually, no, this is not the one that buffs. Alright. Wanderer and Supreme Phantoms, they're getting kind of big over there. We get to Trail of Crumbs here. And our Gilded Goose is sticking around. Sarenth Steelseeker on top. Let's go. We will reveal this land. And then let's bring back our Cauldron Familiar. Let's pay the 1 here. Looking at the top 2, we find just 2 lands. Cauldron Familiar comes back to drain. And then we get 2 more drains with the Witch's Oven. I will Bloodstained Mire first, getting a basic. We will find a black basic here, one of our 2 remaining. And let's go ahead and Witch's Oven here to get our Sarenth Steelseeker trigger off and find our next draw. If it's something we want to draw like a Mayhem Devil, then we'll stop this little situation here. Otherwise, we'll continue going. Sack of food, trigger trail, we will again pay for that with our black mana. We find a land. Get our triggers off. Again, we're not going to be able to block, so we might as well just finish our loop here. I also don't think they're going to be able to murder our cat. Get to look at the top again. It will be another Witch's Oven. We will keep that. So let's go ahead and say go. No attacks. And turn. And we'll be able to put that Witch's Oven into hand here. at their end step. So they go in, hit me for a bunch. We're not dead yet. We also do have this sacrificial Gilded Goose blocker at some point when we want it. We go to 5. We'll be able to gain a little bit back here. Let's bring this Cauldron Familiar back. We will pay the 1. Definitely taking the Witch's Oven here. Cat comes back to the battlefield, can attack this turn as well, which is nice. And we just need to kind of limp to the finish line here. Opponent's got some big things going on over there, but we have enough blockers in these 2 Gilded Geese that we should be able to make it work. I'd be worried about attacking into another collected company now, which they are holding up priority for, so they must have it. That is another collected company, sure. Let's see what they pull off here. This collected company might be the straw that broke the camel's back here. I'm not sure if I can come back from that. Also, I have not really been diligent about picking up red mana, so we are in a situation where we cannot produce the red just yet. We'll have to make a token and then use it for Gilded Goose. I can understand Skyclave Apparition, for sure. Does it take Trail of Crumbs or a Witch's Oven, though? That's the question. Because Trail of Crumbs is kind of the payoff, but so is Serenth Steelseeker, so this is really not like a great feel for them. Let's go ahead and do a Cat Oven thing. Get a little bit of use out of this Trail of Crumbs while it still sticks around. Alright, we'll reveal and take a land. Bring the cat back. I think we will continue to pay for these. Woe Strider's not bad. Another Cauldron Familiar is also not bad too. I think I'll take the Cauldron Familiar, it's a little bit more mana efficient. So they go to 7. We're going to have to do this again. We just need to find Woe Strider. Sorry, not Woe Strider. Mayhem Devil. That's how we win this game, because we definitely don't win if we let them attack. Cannot take another Trail of Crumbs. We're going to Cauldron Familiar back. We're at the very least looking very deep here, which is good. This kind of feels like a situation where I'd like to have a 4th copy of the Mayhem Devil in the deck. This is just a Bloodstained Mire, which does fix our mana problems, but not looking like it's going to be enough. So all this stuff happens. Sure, Skyclave Apparition takes my Trail. Here comes the Witch's Oven. You do get to look at the top again. Top is another Witch's Oven. I mean, it's not bad. I'll take it. Will I survive this next turn, though? So I can block on the ground once. I'd have to block 2 in the air. I'd take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then with my Cauldron Familiar, I could make just enough to survive. It's looking like I can leave this here. Bloodstained Mire is not activatable, but it might have to be. Play a Gilded Goose, make another blocker, and then we'll play Cauldron Familiar, make another ground-based blocker. Cool. We are going to leave that Witch's Oven on top, and Cauldron Familiar can come in. I could also leave it up for this food token. Depending on how much life I think I'm going to have, I might shock in this Blood Crypt and go for the other Cauldron Familiar here. We'll see. Alright, I think we're finally ready to go pass. No attacks. Alright, opponent is at 5. I think if we survive this turn, we can kill. If they grow their creatures by more than a few times, this may not be possible. And I think with that Supreme Phantom, this may just kill me. It'll be interesting to see, though. 2 more mana. I'm purposefully not really doing any of this math in my head right now. I'd like to try to just see what they attack with and navigate the problem myself. Ah man, Drog's full captain. So that makes these all super, super big. That resolves. They are at 3. It's super, super close. So we'll wait for attackers. Wait for after blockers. And yeah, I think we cannot block enough of these creatures, sadly. We're very close. So we block one here, we block one here, we block one here, and then we still get hit for 14. I don't think I can make up 14 damage. Almost certainly not. We'll go for 3 blockers here, then we'll go Witch's Oven, activate. I think we get them to 1, no? Cauldron Familiar, sack. Yeah, they'll be at 1 life. Trigger, trigger, that's the Witch's Oven. If this was on the battlefield, we would have won the game. Dang, so close. I can gain 3 life here. That's not enough though, right? It's 14 that I'm dealing with. Darn. I can't kill anything. So really my solution just has to be kill them, and I cannot quite do it. I'm like so close, that's crazy. Oops, no, we want to resolve that ability first, then activate the other one. Boom, 10. Boom, 11, and we are so very close. Dang. That was tough. We almost got there. Opponent goes to 1. They mathed it out correctly. And yeah, looks like that's all that I can do here, so we'll go ahead and pass. Good Spirits deck. Really cool to see non-standard tribal decks making a resurgence in Timeless. I have played Spirits once. I think it was the blue-white version. So I was really not playing this Collected Company build, but I'm seeing right now that it's very strong. Mausoleum Wanderer I was always pretty unimpressed with, just because even though 1 mana sack to counter a spell is kind of strong, I feel like overall that's something that really only has usage in tempo decks, but you know, I'm being proved wrong now, and maybe I'll have to make some changes in my future builds of this deck. Drogskull Captain, amazing card, love this one. With that being said, that is the end of round 4. We got another round coming up, one final round. Hopefully it will be the one where we get to do the thing. I'll see you there. Alright, here we go. This is round 5. We get the Witch's Oven, which is pretty much the thing that we want to start out with. We'll be able to work Trail of Crumbs into something here. At the very least, we're gaining a lot of life. Serent Steel Seeker can maybe get me some value out of Trail of Crumbs. I think this can work. Okay, and there's the Cauldron Familiar right off the bat. Let's go ahead and see if it can attack on turn 2. If they kill it, it's fine, because Trail of Crumbs is a card that exists. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and shock in here for Trail of Crumbs. We'll get in for 1. Looks like we'll be getting our engine online here pretty shortly. Red and green. Could be Blood Moon right now, which would be bad for us. Temple of the Dragon Queen. Probably just dragons. Okay. And here's the Carnelian Orb. Alright, all things that can happen. So let's go with Serent Steel Seeker first. We'll drop the Witch's Oven in after, trigger Steel Seeker, and we'll be able to trigger it again here with the Witch's Oven activation. Alright, values online. Just gotta hope that our opponent doesn't ruin us with Earthquake Dragon. 10/10 Flying Trample. Yikes. Luckily it still costs 15, but that's about to be much less. Townraiser Tyrant. I haven't seen this one before. This is an alchemy card as well, giving one of my lands just deal 2 damage to me. Got it. Okay. That's a thing, so I guess I'm going to lose my Stomping Ground potentially. And this thing will be able to come in real quick. Cauldron Familiar is not going to be as good of a blocker as I hoped that it would be. Alright, Stomping Ground's going to shock me every upkeep. Doesn't feel great, but it's not something that we can... it's not something that's going to hurt us too badly. The Cauldron Familiar basically halves that if I do this every... like once every iteration. We'll resolve, and then we'll bring it back. Unfortunately, cannot pay the 1. But having Trail of Crumbs is going to start to help us out here. Another Witch's Oven we definitely keep. Take our damage here. We are not going to sack our Stomping Ground. Here's Bloodstained Mire. Here's Witch's Oven to trigger the Steel Seeker. Woe Strider going to the graveyard as well. And I think we do want to crack this and get a Mayhem Devil out. I will shock in this. Here's Mayhem Devil, and I believe we can take out the Town Raiser Tyrant, right? So it's Witch's Oven, sack Cauldron Familiar, make a token, sack the token to bring it back. Yeah, we can kill. So we'll attack in first. Witch's Oven, sacking our Cauldron Familiar. Target their 4/4. We will not take Trail of Crumbs. We want to fuel the Woe Striders. Sack this. Trigger Mayhem Devil. Cannot pay the 1. It is what it is. Sack our Cauldron Familiar. Kill the Town Raiser Tyrant. Let's reveal this, put it into our hand, and put the Cauldron Familiar back. Okay. Perfect. Well, that was just great. So we've maintained our 12 life total, and opponent does not have any cost reduction for their 15 mana spell. Tear of the Peaks is pretty gnarly. It's going to be real bad when they can put anything else out, but we can actually kill it because it's just 4 toughness. Let's resolve. We will not sack the Stomping Ground, go to 5. Here's Wooded Foothills. I'm not going to do anything about it just yet, but we will put the Sarenth Steel Seeker out. We have enough mana to activate one of these Stray Foods. Let's just do the Cauldron Familiar thing after we attack. Get in. They go to 7. We start to do our activation. Sacking Cauldron. Ping the Terror. Trigger, trigger. Now we get double triggers on these. Finale, is that going to be good? Not necessarily right now. We don't have enough mana to make it crazily good. We'll just put this Cauldron Familiar into the grave. Alright, let's bring back a Cauldron Familiar, sacking this. Triggers, ping. I'm going to do 1 Trail of Crumbs here. We will take a green mana source. Trigger. They're getting pretty close to dead here. But honestly, so are we. If they have 1 hasty big creature, we will die. Mayhem Devil would be nice to have on the battlefield, not gonna lie. And then let's bring this back. Bang, bang. Deals 1 damage. I'm gonna decline here because we may want to gain 3 life if it becomes a thing that needs to happen. We'll end turn, say go. We can end step, crack our Wooded Foothills for something, but I think we probably just want to keep the Mayhem Devil around. Opponent's got to find blocks here. Alright, this doesn't kill me, so they probably just played this as a blocker. No, they're going to put me to 4 and then shock me? Well, we can deal with that. Shivan Devastator. They could have played that, but decided not to. Sure. Alright, move to my turn. Sure. This is fine. We will go to 1. Decline. And yeah, so this is just Mayhem Devil number 2, and then we do our Cat Oven thing. Let's just bring one of these back. Actually, we don't need to do it that way. We'll hold up the ability to gain 3 life, and we'll just send the rest of these face. Trigger, trigger, we'll let them happen. Reveal, put that into hand. Finale, we'll just leave that on top at this point. Sack, 2 damage to face. A little bit hard to click through here, but that is the nature of this deck. We'll decline to pay. And finally, just 1 more. Alright, they're dead. Okay, so overall pretty solid game. I think we saw a few things here. Number 1, why this deck is so hard to play and why no one really likes either playing the deck or playing against it. Number 2, still kind of a viable strategy. I think it does hold up in Timeless. And number 3, hope you guys enjoyed the deck just in general. This one was a lot of fun to play. Really cool to see Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven back in their Alchemy versions. So that being said, that's the end of round 5. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and comment. Subscribe if you're new for videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I'll see you in the next one.